the season of love. Beneath an endless night, the world spins around. You're there, ease my mind. Like stars that never die, you and I will shine during the darkest times. As the leaves change color, I dive into you. When summer's fading, there's nothing to do but bask in the glory of the winter sun. Maybe this is the love. As the leaves change color, I dive into you. When summer's fading, there's nothing to do but bask in the glory of the winter.
Okay, right. Thinking whether everyone's coming.
Maybe this is the season of love.
Like to wait for a couple of minutes? I'll just go out and see.
The season of love.
Can we start, please? Yeah, thank you. Sunny from APNIC, just a couple of housekeeping notes. The lunch will be served today next door in the Diamond Ballroom, now not downstairs in the Indulge Cafe. So please, after this session, move to the next door for the lunch. And the second thing is, we really, really thank you all for being here and really appreciate all your time. And we also understand that, you probably have your daily business. So if you'd like to take any calls, please step outside and take your call. It looks like it's disturbing for some others in the room here. So it's quite important, I understand, you have to do your daily business, you probably have meetings. And we have a lot of private rooms outside, so if you could just step outside for a little while, take your call and come back and put your phones on silent mode so they don't disturb others who are taking part in the meeting here as well. So thank you very much, and I pass the mic to the chair. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, Kenny Huang again. I'm happy to give the APNIC Executive Council report. Where can I point to? Oh, okay, right. So you can see we already introduced all the EC members, including myself and An Lei and Prahab, Sumon and Mats, Kems, and Archie and Jia Rongluo also as a DG. Where can I point to? This way. Okay, the function of APNIC EC, the basic function represent the interest of the member in the governance of APNIC and oversight APNIC activity and consider broad internet policy issue for APNIC strategic direction and also set membership fee. endorse the policy consensus toward implementation. That's the basic function for APNIC EC. So APNIC EC run 5 EC meeting was held since APNIC 57 AGM, post AGM EC meeting including 27 February this year. And the next EC meeting will be in Bangkok, that will be held on 20 to 21 May 2025, also aligned with BK-NIC Peering Forum and Thai NOC 7. The other meeting, we have joint meeting with ICANN was held on 22nd of February this year. And a joint meeting with the Foundation Board was held on 27th February this year. Joint meeting with the IR Board member, that was held on 25th of February. Basically, we try to, it's very difficult to coordinate all the IR Board members together to have a super big joint board meeting, and especially each board member is difficult to accommodate their schedule. So we try our best, especially, for example, like we're running the APNIC meeting here, we try to share their calendar. If they was here, we are happy to host the event, to invite all the IR board members coming together and to sharing their discussion. Some critical issue, either intra-IR issue or especially the most important will be inter-IR issue and concern with the global internet governance related issue, and that we can share and to see how we can move from here. Okay, and we also have regular quarterly meeting of elected leader that was held on 26th of February. So all the meeting minutes and record you can see from apnic.net/EC. So that's the EC meeting attendance. You can see the full attendance from the EC member. And we do have, most important, we do have a transition due to the Director General transition. Paul Wilson resigned as a Director General in February 2024. So we're starting to the recruiting process and managed by EC Search and Transitional Subcommittee. And that was the ad hoc committee because that's only served for the particular reason. And that's starting from March until June last year. And finally, Jia Longroad was appointed as a Director General in July by EC and commenced 1st of October 2024. And EC thanks all this in the community who participate in the process because in the recruiting process and a lot of volunteer, and also we have a lot of good candidates also submit their application. So thank you for their contribution as well. And APNIC strategic plan 2024 to 2027, that's starting from December 2024, EC endorsed the updated strategic plan for 2024 and 2027, and 2025 activity plan. Strategic plan now align more closely to APNIC bylaw object because we have bylaw specifically mention the APNIC function and the core mission. So the new updated strategic plan is more aligned with the bylaw. New also contain clear purpose, discussion, and goal. So usually we just indicate the direction in the strategic plan, and we wish to try to be more specific, and that will be help to the public transparent as well. So all the APNIC staff and all the community members can be more aligned with the direction of APNIC and get a more clear picture regarding to how we intend to implement, what would be progress so far. And also core cascade to objective in the activity plan. So later DG will give in more detail regarding to APNIC strategic plan and activity reporting. APNIC policy endorsement, EC review and resolve to endorse 2 policy proposals that reached the consensus in 2024. POP 154, resizing of IPv4 assignment for IXP. POP 156, assignment of temporary IP resources. And thank you for your active participation in the policy discussion. As I mentioned several times, policy discussion, policy development is a core recipe of the APNIC. So thank you for your participation and contribution. And we reached 2 consensus in the 2 policy proposals. And that's the first one. Prop 156 charging scheme, EC resolve modify APNIC member and non-member fee schedule that will the fee for any internet number resources temporary assigned to pursuant to Prop 156 to be fixed as 50% of annual fee to such resource at time of allocation. So that will be basic concept of Prop 156. And also some member raised a question regarding to the bylaw reform, and EC bring this issue into EC meeting, and eventually EC consider and suggest made by member at APNIC 50A, including first one, extending the length of EC member terms to 3 years. Second, implementing the limit of number of terms an EC member can serve. Third, introduce independent director to allow for greater gender diversity on EC. So you can see all the EC here, actually not very decent because they're quite unbalanced. So we try to find a way to see whether we can try to encourage more gender diversity. So EC directed APNIC Secretariat to develop suggestion 1 and 2 into bylaw reform proposal to be put into the vote for a member. So more information will be shared in the coming months of a proposal and member consultation process. So you will get information regarding to how we're going to proceed to proposal and how we conduct the bylaw reform in the next APNIC meeting probably. So further consideration for suggestion 1 is needed because that's a little bit greater change. So we need to consider from different perspective, also including get more input from the consultation process. So that EC will, because it's concerned with the EC structure and process. And so if an independent director was introduced, EC will continue to explore and discuss potential model, and with the aim to make a decision in this year. So whoever raised a similar question or have similar concern regarding to set up an independent director, and we definitely will officially respond this year. So usually we have several subcommittee, but most of them is an ad hoc committee. We just decide to shut down the five subcommittee, including financial subcommittee, property subcommittee, fee review subcommittee, and search and transition subcommittee, and investment review and subcommittee. And many of them basically is ad hoc, is a finance subcommittee, is a continual committee, and we just try to expand this coverage. And just try to clarify, because one question raised by Ruhan said, APNIC going to change to some bigger campus. Basically, that's what I think that's a part of the reason. We have property search committee, but eventually the project was canceled because right now everything, especially real estate price increase and all the material price increase. So we decided not to go forward. So there will be not have any new property search committee, and we will not search for new property for procurement. And EC resolved to establish 2 new subcommittees. The first one is the Finance, Risk, and Audit Committee. And also Remuneration Committee tried to review based on the requirement to our expectation to the management. So we determined the Remuneration Committee to make that kind of decision. The chair will be Archie. The first committee, the chair was Pa. And also, we always have an electoral committee, and thank you for your contribution because you provide a service and your contribution to help APNIC go through the election process smoothly and make sure everything was transparent, accountable. And thank you for the member, thank you for their contribution. The 2025 electoral committee member are Donna, Jonathan, Amrita, Rupert, and Taxo. And thank you for your contribution. Thank you very much. And regarding to finance management, so full detail of APNIC finance in treasury report are already been covered. And basically, there will be more detail. You can see from APNIC website, apnic.com/transparency. You can download all the financial report. So approval of 2024 audit finance statement, that's unqualified audit opinion, and approval activity planning and budget for 2025. EC resolved to appoint LGT Crystone Wealth Management Limited as a new investment manager of APNIC investment portfolio. You know, we have 40 million assets, so we always review who will be qualified investment consultant to manage the 40 million assets for APNIC. And NRO, NCS, AC, this time particularly, we EC appoint Akinori Marimura-san to be the NRO Number Council ASO Address Council for 1-year term from 1st January 2025 to 31st of December 2025. Thank you, Akinori, to willing to carry this mission. So APNIC representative to NL, NC, and SOAC in 2025 will be Dima, elected by APNIC community, and Nicole, elected by APNIC community, and Akinori Maruma, appointed by EC. Thank you again for your contribution, because the SOAC for recently, they have tremendous task. They have carried very critical mission, especially try to design and plan the old ICT2 version 2 process, and also collect the input from public consultation. And it's not stopped here. We still continue to explore how to improve the global governance of the internet. INA RC APNIC EC appointed they be to be the NRO number service review committee RC for 2-year term from 1st January this year and until end of next year. So APNIC representative to INA RC in 2025 is Jingheng Gu, and elected by APNIC community, Dubai by appointed by EC, and also Vivek is the APNIC staff. Also again, thank you for your contribution. APNIC conference, thank you for helping running the APNIC 59 a successful event, especially APNIC team, APNIC staff, and all the supporting team, all the sponsors, and of course, everyone here sit down here. Thank you for your help to making the APNIC 59 a very successful event. So APNIC 60 from 4th until 11th of September this year will be held in Da Nang in Vietnam. And Africa 2026 APNIC 61 that will be held on 4th until 12th of February 2026. That will be held in Jakarta, Indonesia. APNIC 62 that will be held on 3rd until 10th of September 2026. That will be held in Mumbai, India. So next year, we will move to India to run the APNIC conference. Also, we also value all the feedback from members. That's very critical part for us to improve APNIC services, how to improve the APNIC operation efficiency, and how to improve the service we provide to all the members. And so we welcome all kind of comment, suggestion, and question. So members not only they have many channels to submit your feedback, including easy submission via My APNIC. So we also always get a lot of feedback from My APNIC. And also contact from the APNIC website. And of course, during APNIC conference, as I mentioned several times, everything you raise the question here, everything will take into account. We can definitely take into very serious consideration. So also, we also conduct every 2 years, we conduct APNIC member survey, and some of the important issues, some of the member interested will definitely put into an APNIC survey. So in the interest of transparency and accountability, our correspondence and feedback of EC received from member and community will be published on the APNIC website. So once we receive, you will not drop in the dustbin. We definitely will publish and always respond how we respond to the issue we raise. So don't worry about we will just swallow your question. So that's all the EC member, the real person here. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all your support for APNIC. Thank you very much. Sorry. Open mic. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Akinori Maimuna from APNIC. I'd like to have the slide for the bylaw reform.
Okay. Oh,
thank you for that. Okay.
Sorry.
That's
okay. Right.
Okay. Thank you very much for this initiative for the better setup of the EC, and then the number 1, number 2, number 3 are all. I actually support that personally, and then I would be more glad if the consultation to the membership would be held before this kind of the fairly concrete proposal presented in front of the membership. We had a really great historic membership vote for the bylaw change in the 2023. Then I actually dreamed that we will have the more and more membership engagement into the APNIC constellation for the governance structure. So yes, this idea is very good, but I would ask you for this, what I say, more and more consultation to the membership for thinking this forward. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And also thank you for anyone raised the question, because actually the input not from EC, actually input from our previous AGM meeting, and thank you for your valuable input as well. And basically that will be a policy development process, and that is just starting from very beginning, EC direct the Secretariat to conduct a public consultation. So after consultation, we intend and then member to voting on the decision for the bylaw reform. Thank you. Luhan.
Thank you, Kenny. I very much welcome for the bylaw reform. And as I said in the past, we do need to have EC to have longer term and more stable than changing the whole team every 2 years. But while bylaw reform going to the right direction, do EC consider a better structural change in the future, because we will have time to do that? Now we currently have a spaghetti-like structures. No person really understand. Will the EC consider a more clear non-profit structure? And if the Australian law doesn't support it, will EC consider a different country in the region? Thank you.
Okay, thank you much. Regarding to the institution and the company, APNIC PTY registration, so far we try to explore all kind of possibility, but so far the operation, we still rely on the stability of the internal APNIC operation. And also we get a feedback from members as well. And regarding to the legal recommendation, Jeremy, would you like to comment some of the legal recommendation?
My name's Jeremy Harrison. I'm General Counsel at APNIC. In regard to the APNIC structure, look, we're always looking for ways to improve things. There were significant reforms a couple of years ago, but these things are always subject to review along with bylaws and any way we can improve the process. But currently there are no immediate plans to amend the structure right now, but appreciate the suggestion.
Follow up on that, I have a suggestion to the APNIC structure, at least in the immediate basis. I would suggest the EC have its own set team of lawyers independent of the Secretariat to make decisions, so we're not bound, because the Secretariat and the current General Counsel are basically an employee of APNIC Secretariat who have an inline interest within the organization and location of the organization, not necessarily in line with the membership at large. So I would suggest the ECs have dedicated councils work exclusively for the EC, not for our secretariat point, have a different viewpoint, which in line serve the EC's mission, which is to the membership at large, not just to the secretariat and the staff member itself.
Okay, thank you. And as I mentioned, all the questions, all the issues raised in the AGM will be well taken, and definitely we will take into consideration, and also need to combine with the requirement for the budget increase. And so I believe we will do the proper deliberation among the EC to make a decision. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Okay, last question, sorry. Okay. Question online, can someone? Audio. Yeah, the last question.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Amrita here for the record. It's great to see that the APNIC EC is looking at bylaw reform in terms of limiting the tenure or having a particular tenure of the EC members. And I'm more happy to see that there is more focus being given to improve the gender diversity in the EC. While the introduction of independent directors is a good process, is the EC also thinking of having something like a nominating committee to see so that it is not mere tokenism, but it is genuine gender diversity, because we do know that, be it women or from other communities, there are people who are capable in our region can come in. And I hope, like Akinori-san mentioned, there would be some community discussions also on it, how you can make it a more inclusive and balanced EC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We cannot agree anymore. I think that gender diversity was a top priority for all of us, and we try to encourage more female to participate, all kind to participate in the APNIC community. And so far, we're doing the equality, diversity as equality as diversity, but we couldn't guarantee the equality as an outcome. So anyway, we encourage most of the people, female people can participate in APNIC, especially the EC election. And also we try to find a way, for example, like an independent director, probably that's another feasible way to go through, but that require more sophisticated design.
Hi, Tina Morris, AWS. On this topic, I'd like to point out at the nomination committee time is not really the best time to just say, we have to solve this now and get females on the ballot. This is a long game. We should be working for the ballot 5 years from now, and not just females. There's other diversity concerns, of course, but we need to look around our community and grow the people that won't necessarily seek the spotlight themselves, that have amazing talents, send them to trainings, give them tasks, give them all these ways to grow and be known in the community. Because if you aren't known in this community, you're not going to get elected either. So we really need to be looking at it way ahead and separately from the nomination committee.
Thank you very much. That's definitely would be the top priority in our mind, and we just need to figure out what would be the best way to do. And we try all the feasible way to encourage more people to participate as well. Sorry, because of the time limit, I need to shift to go to Tony.
Thanks, Kenny. I'm going to give an update on the Resource Delegation Audit Program. This is something which we began in 2024. But before I start, I just want to run through a couple of key principles to what we're going to be talking about today. So as a registry, trust and accuracy is critical to what we do, clearly, and that all of our number resource delegations must be made in strict adherence to the community developed policies, the policies that you develop and agree on. We make no apologies for having zero tolerance for misallocation of resources, either in our registry or those of the NIRs. But one important point, the work that we are doing in these audits, when we identify any delegations that contain questionable common elements, they are preliminary findings only. They should not be taken to infer that the delegations are fraudulent or there has been any improper actions by the members or registry staff. Okay, so this is the work that we're doing at the moment. The primary activity is the aggregated data analysis work. This is the actual audits proper. But supporting that are a range of other proactive actions that we've decided to take as part of this program to ensure policy compliance is very, very strong at APNIC. Just give you a bit of background. So at the end of 2024, at the start of 2024, we began delegation audits. This was a planned activity in our plan. The first two elements that we looked at was an anonymous report we received about some questionable delegations that happened in Iran, and there was a preliminary audit that we did for 5 years of data at APNIC. Both of those initiatives did uncover some questionable delegations. So we took some cooperative actions with the registries. Our analysis of the data is what we can see. We only can use the public who is data, but further investigation requires the NIRs to look at their own registry and account data, and that's not accessible to us. So this is what I was saying at the start. Just because we have preliminary findings, it doesn't mean there is an issue, because after further investigation, it may find there is no issue. However, in these cases, Iran did investigate, and they ended up recovering 44 IP4 delegations, which were in breach of policy. And APNIC has appointed an independent law firm to investigate the delegations that we identified in our preliminary audit. I'd like to thank both Iran and APCHI for their cooperation so far. They've been
very good in cooperating with these matters and making sure that they're pursued. So let's move on to what we're doing now. We had a meeting with APNIC while we were here, but APNIC are now progressing that investigation into the delegations we uncovered. So they appointed a law firm to do that investigation. They did that in January, and they have begun by going through all of the contact and business registration data of those questionable delegations to see if the organisations are in fact real, that there is no inconsistencies, missing information in their registration contact data, and the ones that work is now completed, and any that they have identified where there are inconsistencies, those organisations are being contacted to basically check to see if that can either be fixed or if there is actually real non-compliance going on, and if there is, that space will be recovered. The next stage after that will be examination of the delegations that have been found, to have some common data points and connections, just to make sure that there's no non-compliance there. That's the next step. We'll have another progress update from APGI in the second quarter, and we'll be reporting that on our website, along with a whole bunch of other things which we'll report. I'll get onto the reporting later on. The work that we're doing is the actual audits. We're progressing them through each of the NIRs and APNIC's own registry. So what we're doing here is we're looking at all allocation and transfer data for a period of 10 years. The preliminary audit we did with APGI was only 5 years, and the earlier work we did with IRIN was only just for those smaller number of allocations. So all the NIRs and APNIC's own registry will be examined for a period of 10 years. We conducted the first one already, that was on JPNIC's data, and I'm very pleased to announce that there was no adverse findings at all. So well done, JPNIC. The remaining NIRs and APNIC's own registry will follow, and we're aiming to try and complete at least all of the NIR audits by the end of 2025. That timing may vary depending on whether we find anything that we need to investigate further or not, and we're hoping to be able to get stuck into our own registry audit as well during this year. Now, around this are some supporting initiatives. Now, these are things that when we started the audit process and made the early discoveries, we decided this is an opportunity for APNIC to really look at its own processes as well, to make sure that we are very, very strict with policy compliance. And if we can strengthen anything, we will. And so one of the first activities there is an account accuracy review. For those of you from the RIPE community, you may be familiar with the assisted registry checks. This is something very much along those lines, where we proactively contact members to help them ensure their registry data is accurate. This is something we're working on in terms of developing the process now, with the view of rolling it out in the second half of this year. A full review of our policy procedures, delegation processes, the workflows within the team, and the team structures will also be undertaken. That'll begin in March, to look to make sure, is there anywhere where weakness exists, where things could be strengthened? And that's another thing which we will begin very soon. Policy compliance spot checks on new APNIC delegations is now underway. So this is essentially every time we delegate an IPv4 address or IPv6 or whatever it may be, that there are random spot checks from other parts of the team to check that everything is absolutely following policy. We support the NIRs through training, regular contact and meetings, making sure that if there's anything required by them, we're coordinating with them, but if there's anything required by them to make sure they understand new policy developments or we are adhering to policy, we can catch it there. And at the end of the year, we are going to be looking at the standard NIR agreement to review that. We're waiting for the ICP2 process to progress a lot further along before we do that, in case anything falls out of that process, which would impact the review of the NIR standard agreement. Now, all of the reporting around this will be regular. So we've created a new web page on the site. You can see the address there. This will contain all of the regular audits. We have committed to the community to report on this every quarter. But if we find anything of significance, we will come back and report that out of cycle to the community to make sure you're aware. So the recording of today, the slides, and also a blog post, the links for that will all go onto that page. And then from then on, we will keep reporting on that page so you can see what's going on, and at APNIC meetings. So when we have the meeting in September, there'll be another report there on how we're going in terms of progress. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'd like to have Jarong to introduce APNIC strategic and operational plan. Thank you. Pass over to you.
Thank you, Kenny. All right, so earlier, Kenny in the EC report also talked about the strategic plan and activity plan. I will do a slightly deeper dive. And I also know that there's a lot of discussions in the corridors about staff movements. So I will shorten this portion a little bit and focus some time on that portion as well in the second half of this segment. So I'll talk about the strategic plan and activity plan first. So as Kenny mentioned, the strategic plan and activity plan for 2024 to 2027 is now updated. The strategic plan is actually scheduled to be reviewed at the end of 2025, at the halfway mark of the plan's 4-year term. However, after stepping into my new role in October and taking in staff feedback from their experience trying to implement the plan, I proposed to the EC to bring forward the review. So as part of that review, we updated it. I'm going to share more details here. But the EC has now approved the updated strategic plan. So that's already been published. Now, in terms of the highlights, some of this Kenny already mentioned, so I won't dive in too deep, but largely the plan now aligns more closely with the APNIC bylaws objects. The plan now contains clearer purpose descriptions and goals. And I will define goals. We properly define what goals mean. So goals actually mean achievable long-term outcomes. And then the goals cascade to objectives. Objectives mean short-term actions that contribute to a longer-term goal. So the goals cascade to objectives in the activity plan, which will then help the Secretariat focus on delivery and provide greater alignment between the strategic plan and the annual activity plans. So I'm just going to show you the previous version and the newer version, and I hope you appreciate the difference. So the original on the left, if you look at registry, so the original is allocate and so on the left column. So allocate and register internet number resources in the Asia Pacific region. Then we have a few points: provide registry users with highly responsive and proactive service, provide a sustainable, verifiable current and complete registry, ensure responsible resource stewardship, strive to increase the value of registry services to the internet. So quite a bit of the descriptions tend to be more of what we do. But what we want to do is be clearer about what is that purpose. So we tightened it. So the updated version basically says exactly pretty much the same for the registry one first. APNIC allocates internet number resources in the Asia Pacific region according to community developed policies. It maintains the verifiable public registry of those resources and provides support and technical tools to help members operate and improve their networks. So we tighten it, be clearer about what we want to do. And the next part ties into the goals. So the original on the left, transform registry services towards proactive, higher quality service, develop a framework to support authenticity and trust in registry data, initiate and support activities of the NRO to provide and promote a joint internet numbers registry. And we updated it to be much clearer. So it's 5 points here. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer. But in this case, execute APNIC's core responsibilities to maintain an accurate registry and provide delegation and registration services for internet numbers and specifically ASNs, IP addresses. And second point, provide core registry services to maintain a global, secure, available, and stable internet, deliver excellence in service and value to members, develop and maintain high quality products and services for members with a focus on continuous improvement, ensure APNIC's online services are underpinned by high performance infrastructure that is reliable, available, and secure. So when we break it down into very specific areas, then when we want to achieve them, the objectives will be able to cascade back to the goals. So I'll explain this a little bit further when we go to the activity plan, but this is just to illustrate the difference between the earlier version, which is a combination of both things that we are doing versus being what we want to achieve, to something that's more specific about what exactly do we want to achieve. Now, for another example, I won't go into too much detail because I'll cut. We can dive into them at their posted online, but you can see some differences as well from the original for development. There are some bullet points on the left. Then on the right, we just tighten it further. So basically, APNIC supports development of the internet in the Asia Pacific region. Then how do we do that? Provide technical training, deploy critical internet infrastructure, and support the growth of technical and security communities. So it's much more direct and tighter language. Then we update the goals according to that purpose. So on the right, assist members and the community to deploy critical internet infrastructure, essential cybersecurity operations, and advanced network technologies. Second one, build and maintain a cost-effective and scalable capacity building models to meet the needs of the region. The third one is on support and encourage the sustainable development of a healthy Asia-Pacific technical and security communities. So the next one here, also in terms of engagement. So on the left, touches more on really like what we do, proactively engage at all levels, and improve feedback and coordination. On the right now, this one we updated significantly. So the first one is on be recognized as the main knowledge exchange for the diverse Asia-Pacific internet operations community. And what does this exchange mean? So APNIC has very different platforms like blog, we have the ping, we have the mailing list, conferences like that are platforms. We also support various platforms like Nogs, for example. So the idea is that this becomes a space for all of these platforms to amalgamate and come together, and then we can build on one another. And in there, when we discuss technical research, network operations, security matters, challenges, trends, that's when we have an active community that is engaged, rather than the earlier version, which is just proactively engaged, which is the act of doing it. The right side talks more about that we want a platform, a space where community all comes together. So the difference in definition allows us to be clear about what we want to achieve. Now, the first piece then informs the second one, which is on participation in policy. When we have a large network of community that's engaged with current issues, current challenges, current trends, that informs on what kind of policies we have to update and that we have to work on. So the second part here ties in with we then would be able to work on policies that is relevant and timely. And also we have that network of community members to participate. So in some ways, it's tied to the earlier piece about what Tina mentioned about diversity, right? So it's a long game. We want to be able to build a community and then have an active community members rise up in the leadership. And then from there, they can be selected onto the EC. So there's that community engagement there. So these are the first 2 points on engagement. Third one on play a responsible role in the global multi-stakeholder internet governance ecosystem through active collaboration and engage in public policy discussions. So in some ways, I mentioned this as well. If we don't do this work, we don't have a single interoperable internet, then we don't have resources that we can distribute to you, because if the internet is fragmented, then that's pretty much it. So these updates some of these goals accordingly. Now, last one on capability. So again, the left side touches more broadly on activities. The right side actually focuses on more of the what's our vision and goal. And the updated one on the right, you will see an open membership-based, not-for-profit organization. APNIC must serve its members and the community with integrity, transparency, financial responsibility, and accountability. Then this takes the second paragraph. Then this takes a form of effective organizational policies, financial management, risk mitigation, operational technologies, communication and governance structures that allows APNIC's team of committed staff to deliver its mission. So be very focused on these areas. So that in there, we also update the goals that cascades from the purpose. So just run through quickly. Maintain secure and reliable enterprise technologies and data to underpin operational efficiency, effectively manage APNIC's financial affairs to achieve long-term financial sustainability. Just now, Mars in his update highlighted this goal. So we will provide a longer-term forecast. Already, we've started with updating the budget methodology so that we can look at how we manage our costs better. So we're already working on these items. The third one on sustain a highly engaged and productive workforce by optimizing strategy, structure, policies, and culture. I'll talk about this a little bit in the next part. And the last one is on operate a responsive and trusted organization that is transparent, accountable, adheres to strong governance, complies with laws, and so on. Now, this last one on transparency, which is why I also recommended to the EC, recommendations and correspondence from community should be published on the website so that it stays there and everybody can see it. So we've already done that, and I'm getting very good responses from this. So again, we're actively moving forward on these goals. Now, the strategic plan then cascades into the activity plan. And essentially, the activity plan, some highlights are, in the past, it's actually published in February. So let's say we are in 2025, we published the activity plan in February. So 2 months has already passed. So this cycle, we've changed it. So actually, we have published it before the new year. So everyone has a clear set of plans on what to do for the new year before the new year starts. So the earlier cycle really, frankly, doesn't really make sense, because how can you start planning for the new year when you've already entered it? So we changed the cycle forward. Second piece is, as I mentioned, it aligns with the updated strategic plan. The 4 pillars, registry, development, engagement, and capability remain, including high-level budget allocations. Now, objectives, which are short-term actions to achieve a goal, has examples of outcomes. So we define exactly what we want to achieve, and then we can check against whether we have achieved it or not. So I will show some examples later. In the last one, we added deadlines as well to strengthen accountability. So if we miss a deadline, you will know, and we will have to explain why we missed the deadline. So this strengthens our accountability to you. I realize this one is very small, so it's hard to read, and forgive me for this, because after we have shifted it to a different template, then it's quite small. So it's even small for me. So let me just explain a little bit. The first one, the box in green, just highlights the objectives, which is, for example, deliver the old version. So for example, objectives, deliver excellence in service to APNIC members. Then we have a list of activities and then success indicators. But the activities and indicators actually don't match to each other. So the metrics by which we report against is very hard to know whether we achieve success or not. Because, for example, on number 2, regular engagement with NIRs for alignment of service delivery and registry consistency. But on the right, we actually don't say what does success mean. What does success mean for regular engagement? So we should actually update this to be clearer about what success means. So in the new version, which is the orange box, I do apologize, it's small, but in there we have a goal, we have an objective, and the outcomes. You will see the boxes correspond to each other because each objective has a target outcome. And then we will just report against whether the outcome meets the objective. So we spend more time front-loading the thinking. Then when it comes to implementation for staff, it's much easier. So they know this is the outcome they want to achieve, and then they just focus on that work. So this updated version just allows for that cascading, better direction, and better accountability. So when we report, we provide our secretariat reports, we will be reporting against the outcomes in this way. So it's much easier to follow whether we miss something or whether we achieve something. So that's the idea. So I'll cut this part short and just in summary, talk about, in summary, what is APNIC? So again, our mission is to support the growth and development of the internet through the allocation of number resources. Then there are really 5 points. At the core, we are a registry. That registry work is extremely important. Things like accuracy. Then that's why we have to do the delegation audits. And also as part of registry, we provide members with service and tools. And then second one here is on internet development. We want to move the needle, make the internet better, move the needle on IPv6, RPKI, put in critical internet infrastructure, IXPs, support the NOCs and security communities. Third one, knowledge exchange space. I talked about this already. Then that also informs and provides for a more robust policy development space. And the fifth one is being a responsible member of the internet ecosystem, which both talks about supporting the other members in the ecosystem, like the iStars, like ICANN, ISOC, the other regional internet registries, working with our sister national internet registries, and so on. It also speaks to us being a world-class, well-managed, sustainable organization. So I find these 5 points consolidate really what APNIC's work would be, and would be providing us with guidelines going forward. Now, before I close, sorry, can you just give me a few more minutes to talk about one other issue? So I know there's been a lot of conversations in the corridors about staff movements. Now, instead of corridor conversations, you might as well hear from me directly. So I might as well just talk about it. So I have made changes at the senior directors level, and 3 senior directors have parted ways with us after a period of consultations. They have all made invaluable contributions to APNIC, and we are grateful to them for bringing APNIC to where we are today. I'm not able to share specific details due to privacy and confidentiality issues, but I do want to assure you, and I know many of you have close relationships with them, that they have been provided with support and consideration during this transition. This is not an easy decision. The driver for this decision is to increase efficiency and free up resources. Our former DG, Paul, had established the 4-pillar structure with senior directors as an experiment. He has been upfront about it, both with me and with all the staff. And since joining, I've observed that for an organization of relatively small size like ours, the senior directors layer only added an extra layer of hierarchy and created silos across the teams instead. Also, as you can see from the previous strategic plan and activity plan, there is some limitations in terms of senior management capability, in terms of articulating goals versus just what we want to do. Now, this is not the fault of the senior directors. They are good at what they do, and they have all my respect in terms of their contributions. The flaw is not in them individually, but the flaw is in the structure. Now, this alone does not require us to do anything, but there is another piece that comes in that really forces us to have to consider. That is APNIC's budget deficit. While the budget deficit is not we're not in a case where it's very serious, but the budget deficit situation has resulted in everyone operating within significant resource constraints. There are teams, especially at the operational level, that are severely understaffed. These teams need resources, but I am unable to pull from a bucket that is empty. With a deficit, in fact, my bucket has a hole as well. And we are forecasting to exit, while we are forecasting to exit the budget deficit in 2027, a key factor is that at the time we forecasted that, 3 economies are forecasted to exit the least developed country status, LDC status. And as you know, members from LDC countries pay APNIC a 50% discount. So when they exit the LDC status, then that actually boosts the member fees for APNIC. So 3 countries are supposed to, forecasted to exit LDC status in 2027. They are Bangladesh, Laos, and Nepal. However, everyone knows Bangladesh's current situation. I like to stay optimistic, and I do hope for Bangladesh's situation to stabilize and for the economy to flourish. But no one knows if Bangladesh will graduate from LDC status in 2027. I don't like to put our hopes on factors that we have no control over. And so we have to act now. If we need to make any adjustments, it takes time for the budget to adjust itself. Now we are already in early 2025. If we don't act now, we do something only later in 2026, then the next thing we know will be in 2027. So that is where we have a key issue. So we have to act now and work to contain our costs and balance the budget on our own terms. Now, almost every member whom I have met, when we talk about issue of fees, they all ask me whether APNIC will increase fees further. I can't promise you anything, but what I did promise you was that I will provide you with predictability. So with these adjustments, by the end of this year, I will deliver an updated forecast to balance our budget by 2027 without the consideration of that hope for Bangladesh to exit the LDC status. I will also deliver an updated forecast by the end of next year to provide you with a 2027 plus 5-year forecast. So you'll be able to see our forecast from 2027 plus 5, and we'll work to contain our costs as much as possible. Now, this is my commitment to the EC, and I stand before all of you, and this is my commitment to you. Now, there is no doubt that there are gaps left behind by the senior directors. At this conference, you would have seen our staff, they step up and cover some of those gaps. Now, if you've been working with a senior director and you're not able to find someone to talk to, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Now, we will also work on wider gaps. APNIC has grown beyond a startup size, but in many ways, we still work and think like a startup. Now, we should endeavor to keep the good characteristics of a startup, be nimble, be able to make decisions quickly, but also shed some characteristics such as teams designed around individuals rather than designed to scale. So this limits the efficiency and the ability to support the community better. Because some of you are very used to interfacing with one person. What we should be doing is be able to scale so that even if one person is not able to cover that work, we have the ability to scale up the work to support the community. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to add headcount necessarily, but we should design teams that's like more matrixed, more in a team structure than based on an individual structure. Now, in the coming 4 to 6 weeks, I'm working with the directors to take this opportunity to realign ourselves to our goals and strategies. The updated strategic plan will not change. It provides us with very clear direction. So our goal is, how can we synergize across teams, fill critical gaps, and update our structures so that we can deliver the activity plan and strategic plan as it is. So out of this transition phase, you will see a more efficient and effective APNIC. And by operating more efficiently and effectively, this is where we give our members the most value. So I know some of you have questions, and I'm happy to answer them. And I very much welcome any dialogue and any comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jarrell. All your commitment has been recorded. Before opening the mic, there are 2 housekeeping reminders to you. The first, because I mentioned election voting will be closed at 2. That was wrong. Sorry for my mistake. Election voting will be closed at 2:30. 2:30, please keep your mind. Election voting will be closed at 2:30. And the second reminder is, please do not talk to your phone in the meeting room, please. Okay, thank you. Open mic.
Hello, Luhan from Larus Limited, and thank you for Jarrell. And I do support to simplify the structure, as I've mentioned in my previous comment during financials. There seems to be excess amount of layers at this point in APNIC, and I would support you even further to simplify structures and automate the processes, especially in light of development of AI and large language models. A lot of tasks should be able to be automated so that we can save on staff costs, which at this point accounting over 20 million, which is 60% or 70% of the total budget. And I believe that if you do your job well, that we do not need to increase our membership fees for the next 5 years, and we could stay well, cover the inflation, and getting money from the investment as well. with right investment strategy. So I think that is totally achievable, and I hope you will achieve that. I think we have to also understand APNIC is not a government institution, and even today there's U.S. government actually cutting their staff as well. So there's no job is guaranteed for life, and you made your contribution, and you did a great job, but there's always a time to move on from one job to another. That happens in everybody's life, and I think there's nothing wrong from moving on and contributing to another cause and even being promoted in a different. The experience in APNIC will provide a great resume for all the staff members who move on to a different job. So I don't think there's a concern for anyone here that, in order to save member costs, that we allow some staff to move to a different opportunity. That is perfectly acceptable and norm in the business world. And I think we all should accept and appreciate that and don't worry too much about that. And I do also support for the 5-year long-term goals that we have a more clear views on what we do and how APNIC does things, and that will be better communicated, and so we don't worry about it. And that's almost a yearly discussion in the past 10 years that will the membership fee increase next year? And I think if Jiarong, you'll be able to provide a comfort to the membership at large that we will not, or we will maybe increase slightly, but hopefully not increase membership for 5 years, that would provide great comfort to the membership at large. And in the end, I hope, Jiarong, you good luck with your job. And we have to remember the Secretariat and the EC are accountable for the membership at large, and only to the membership and the community at large, not to any individual staff members or anyone, basically. The membership is what guides this membership. We are a membership-based organization that's embedded in the bylaw, and we always have to remember that. So, and the challenge facing Bangladesh and our LEDC is that we should seeking ways to reduce our costs, so we don't have to expect double their fees in order to cover our costs. This to me is basically unethical. So my last part is my question to you, that is, what's your plan at its core to streamline organization? Will you publish a new structure with more clear defined responsibilities aside of what has been previously defined by the last DG? And I think that probably needed for the APNIC moving forward and achieve the cost saving is needed. And I hope you have a plan, and please tell us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question and support. And some of the operational, probably Jiarong can respond for regarding to, but some of your question already been responded on our APNIC website.
Yeah, thank you. So as mentioned earlier, we are working on transition phase next to 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm working with the directors now. We will have we'll be having a series of realignment consultations with the teams. Because in the conversations I've had with staff members, so there are instances where we have 2 different teams who actually have the same goal, but they don't really work with each other. And I've also had instances where we have 3 members of the same team who tell me 3 different strategies. So the idea now is we find a way to align these teams and then update how we structure the teams. So we have to go through a period of consultation, but out of that, then we will have a clearer updated structural plan. And I will also show that to the EC. And if required, then I will publish it and share it with the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any question?
Remco, I'm a Private C board member of one of your friendly neighbor RIRs. I have a question or a comment. Your updated strategic plan that you presented at the beginning. It's probably me, and it's probably closer to the mic. Yes, okay. There's, I think, a couple of words that dropped off your reinterpretation, probably because they're we take them as given. but I do think that we need, I think they're important enough to keep reiterating until we're bored with them. One is the word complete was no longer in there. I think registry accuracy is our absolute lifeblood, as Tony mentioned earlier today. So I think that that should be central to any RAR. And long-term stability, I think, is also something that we all should keep in mind. So make of that what you will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. We want to.
Thank you. I'll go back and scrub through if we miss something that doesn't cover it. I'll update the EC. Thank you.
Akinori?
Yeah, Akinori Maimura for JPNIC, but I'm now maybe telling my personal with a personal capacity. Frankly, when I learned about this this movement in that was, I think, the February 14th Friday, I was so shocked, and then I was so confused. I didn't have any idea what was going on there. But the Jerome, you had a really good articulation on your thinking, and then that helped me a lot to what is going on, and then what is the intention of yours. Then that this kind of the articulation elaboration is a really helpful for the membership and even for your staff to understand much better about your thought. With that, I was shocked because I believe that the internet is constructed on the humans network. And then the capable three senior directors are all are really beloved, respected, and then really huge, the capable conduit between the APNIC and the membership and the broader community. I don't think this influence is small, but big. You need to address that. Then I hope that, yeah, then what you articulated right now for the forthcoming years for the project is looks great. Then I would say I would offer you good luck to do the better business, and then I hope that I actually really convinced for the good plan onward. But with that, I am a bit concerned about huge influence for our community, and then that's actually big. That's actually reason why the community member talk each other in the corridor about that. So please don't underestimate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Akinori. Karen, would you like to comment?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Akinori. So as I mentioned, it's not an easy decision to make. As humans, we have emotions. It's our relationships that tie us. I struggled with it for a long time. And they are as much my friends as they are yours. So the issue is, in this job, what is my job? My job is I have to balance the different needs that's required. So I have to choose a practical approach. So all of us would have preferences. So, I use a lighter way to help myself as well. Some people prefer, we all have to go running. Some people prefer Nike, some people prefer Adidas. So we have preferences in terms of who we work with. And there is a value judgment behind that. But that requires us to have to make a choice. You can only wear one pair of shoes, then you have to make a choice. So I have to choose the framework by which I believe is the best option forward, and it is trim slightly, adjust the structure, find the best efficiencies, and we move forward. It's very hard to adopt a utilitarian framework, which is choosing the best good for the most number, and then try to also leave no one behind. It is very hard to do both, virtually impossible. So I do understand how everybody is feeling when it comes to the individuals. And the only thing I can say is that doors are not always closed forever. If there are opportunities further, we can always be working with them again when the opportunity and the timing is right. So I do like all of us to look at it from an open mind. And change is painful. Some transitions is painful, but I hope that if you don't support it, I do seek your understanding, and I appreciate, Akinori, how you articulated it. You understand how the situation is, and that's all I can ask for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan, your next one. By the way, do we have any question from online? No? Okay, sorry, because time limit, Jonathan, you'll be the last one.
Okay, Jonathan Brewer, APNIC member from New Zealand. The topic of resource fees was raised by an earlier speaker. And I just wonder, does APNIC know if resource fees are a concern for the general membership? And how do APNIC resource fees benchmark against other RIRs?
I can only answer half of it. Yeah, so right now, in my interactions coming in, fees are a concern from the standpoint of members who like to know with predictability. There are some other concerns which ties in with operations. For example, synchronizing with NIRs as well, because they have to update the fees, and each of them have different structures. So that's another aspect. Smaller members have feedback more in terms of concerns, because they are a lot more price sensitive in that sense. So largely, these are my interactions, which is why I said I can only answer half the question. So I don't know if anybody else can supplement what are some of my own observations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gerald. Basically, that was EC deliberate decision to increase the membership fee. And that's also based on our 5 years financial focus as well. And believe it or not, we're trying very hard, to minimize that kind of impact. That's why we have early announcement, and the decision was made 2 years at the end of 2023, and official announcement last year, and really commenced starting from this year. And of course, we're receiving a lot of feedback from different members, especially, actually quite a lot of EC, they are extra large member. And so we impact the consequence quite seriously. And not to mention some of the country probably they even have their membership fee that has been precisely identified in their regulation. So the cost even more difficult for them. For some people from KISA, they experience that kind of difficulty as well. But we're trying very hard, try to balance. For example, like we can foresee in the next few years, APNIC just 1 or 2 year deficit, then we definitely will be recovered. Of course, we cannot guarantee anything after 2027, but we really try our best, try to integrate that process, try to minimize the potential impact. And of course, we have no obligation. We need to take a whole responsibility for the fee increase, but we try our best to minimize the impact from the member. Thank you very much.
The other part of my question was, how do the fees benchmark against other RIRs? How do they compare?
Can I have Nelson? Would you like to respond to that?
Nathan Harvey, APNIC Secretariat. When we went through the fee review work, we of course looked at the other RIRs and their fee models. But the fee review work was conducted on APNIC and the APNIC region and the economies that we service. So yes, we looked at them, but they weren't an influencing factor on the decisions that we ultimately made, or the recommendations, I should say, that we put to the EC when that work was done.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'm going to wrap up here by saying it would be nice if APNIC could publish any information that they have on how APNIC fees compare to other RIR fees, and honestly, how operational expenses look in the other RIRs. I'm sure this data is all public. I
Right.
don't think each member should go have to look it all up themselves.
Yeah, quick
Thank you.
response. Yes, thank you very much. Because of the time limit, just one reminder, we only allow one more question. Please make it short. One more question, sorry.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jerang, for all the clarification. Yesterday we had a leadership meeting and I tried to raise this issue, but in this AGM, you have all clarified. We know that, making a decision is very hard, and sometimes it's come in between the sentimentals, also values. So values with, working with the colleagues, and if definitely it's tough for you to, but in terms of from the community perspective, we want to see APNIC, not in a depth. We want to see in a positive part. So thank you very much for your everything.
Thank you. Thank you for your recommendation. Sorry, the rest of question, we still have open mic section. You can raise your question at a later open mic section. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gerald. So next, I'd like to invite Tachi for the routing security SIG report. Thank you, Tachi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Taiji from APNIC as acting chair of Routing Security SIG. The Routing Security SIG is the place where to provide the place for discussing operational issues and best practices to secure global routing security. And you can read the charter. It's the same way the web on the web. We have three presentations from internet registries and one research presentation. Three from the internet registries about the deployment of ROA and ROV, and we discuss about the coverage and the strategies on the deployment. And this is continued to the discussion part and very impressive discussions there. One research presentation is about the resource conflicts between RIRs, and RPK object means that resource certificate and ROAs. If you're interested in the research, please explore the details. Outcomes and actions. I plan to this session to be the very beginning of the discussions. How do we say this? For deployment, for saying deployment, ROA and ROV activities in registries are very root actions for each regions. So the routing security is often discussed with the technical aspect, but I believe this session was enjoyable for non-technical persons and beneficial to find out the operational or deployment actions are some categories like very critical or not. And this time, the SIG is the very first time meeting for me. I'm the very beginner of chairing this session, so I've got the voices from the attendees. Some voices, some attendees expected this SIG is the place where we can see the very updates from the global or technical things. And some attendees wants this session is a discussion place about the deployments or operations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next I'd like to invite Corporation SIG, Joy, to give a corporation report.
Greetings. This is a report for the Cooperation SIG, and I'm Joy Chen with my co-chair, Bikram. We're very happy to be here to tell you what we did. And the charter for this SIG is really that it's acting as a forum for discussion about broader internet issues from technical to non-technical, including internet governance, which happen to be a very, very important issues on that. So we're here to clarify the APNIC community, present in a relevant way that it can represent our community to the position to be bought. And for this session, that we had speakers and discussions from the different perspectives. So some of the key highlights I'd like to mention to you is that one, that we are fully aware, we actually want to bring the awareness of the process on WSIS plus 20. So we want to make sure that the voices that's going to be heard, because we realize that there's a little voices from the technical community, and we want to make sure that it's not going to be an underrepresented intergovernment in the governmental discussion. So without that, we felt that the decision that's going to be made is probably going to be a little bit impractical or misaligned when we are building an internet to be robust, to be trust, and to be resilience. So how do we bring this, the links between the technical standards and the policy outcomes? So we felt that the community, the expertise needs to frame the technical position effectively on a high-level discussion. And a great example is TCCM, where they have been, it's a collaboration with about 30 organization entities developing the position and the statements. It's correlated and it's been signed out as a multi-stakeholders. So the outcome is really a calling out from our technical community in this APNIC session to proactively participate, to have the voice to be heard. The technical community here, we are talented and we have a lot of the things to contribute, but we don't contribute in the proper way. So it's better to create easy ways using the understandable approach to work with the non-technical communities and to contribute in our ways in the process to minimize the onboarding cost, the difficulties, and find the collaboration, the advocacy aligned, and to really make the future, to shaping the future of the internet more robust, more well, and that's our internet in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's remind the final ones again. The EC voting will be closed at 2:30, so make sure you make your voting before 2:30. So, okay, that's pretty much for the AGM section 2. So it's going to lunchtime. So, any housekeeping? Oh, okay. So the lunch just served next door. So you can just move to next door. And we start into the section 3 at the 2:30. And I remind you again, please vote before 2:30. Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation.